Have you ever had this happen? You got into an argument with someone, or maybe you said something harsh without thinking. They didn't cry, they didn't yell, they didn't slam a door or even fire back. They just went quiet. You figured it blew over. You figured they were fine. You might have even felt relieved. But weeks later, maybe months, you realized they'd already slowly slipped away. You asked what was wrong. They said nothing, but you knew. Something had shifted, and whatever it was, it never came back. That is who I want to talk about today. The people who go silent when they're hurting, who disappear without a word. I can almost guarantee you're either one of them, or you've deeply loved someone like that. You just never fully understood them. Most people think about emotions in the most surface level way. You either explode or you break down, you fight back or you give in. But today, I want to talk about the third way, the most hidden, most painful, and most misunderstood emotional pattern of all. Silence, not weakness, not indifference, not that they don't care. It is a survival mechanism, a defense response wired into the nervous system. The only way a person learned over years and years to keep themselves safe. I've been creating psychology content for 12 years. I've read hundreds of thousands of messages from people in my audience. And I can say this with full confidence. The people who go quiet are almost always the ones who feel the most deeply, the most sensitive, and the most likely to be let down. Their silence is never empty. It is a storm no one else can see. Let's start at the root. Why do some people disappear instead of speak up when they're hurt? The answer isn't in adulthood, it is in childhood. Psychologist John Gottman spent 40 years studying thousands of families. And he arrived at a stark conclusion. Children who were punished, ignored, mocked, or dismissed when they expressed pain. Kids who were told you're too sensitive, you're overreacting. Stop crying over nothing. Those children's brains change permanently. Their nervous systems wire vulnerability directly to danger. Expressing feelings equals getting shut down. Saying you're hurt equals being seen as a burden. Showing your wounds equals getting hurt again. Over time, they stop practicing expression, they practice hiding instead. They don't choose silence. They come to believe silence is the only safe option. And that belief doesn't stay in childhood, it becomes part of who they are. It follows them into relationships, friendships, and work. So, when they get hurt as adults, a partner's offhand dig, a friend who overlooks them, a coworker who pushes them aside, they don't push back. Because pushing back means exposing vulnerability again, and their body refuses that risk. Before their brain even has a chance to weigh in, they fold inward, they cut off the emotional output, they make themselves small. From the outside, that looks like being cold, unbothered, not caring. From the inside, it is the only way they know how to survive. A lot of people misread silence because they assume outer calm means inner calm. Science says the exact opposite. UC Berkeley psychologist James Gross conducted a series of landmark experiments. He put participants in stressful situations and let some express their emotions freely, while others were told to stay composed and suppress what they felt. The results were striking. The people who were suppressing their emotions showed higher sympathetic nervous system activation, faster heart rates, and elevated blood pressure. Even as their faces stayed completely still, their faces were resting, their bodies were screaming. That kind of sustained internal pressure doesn't just stay internal. It affects sleep, immune function, anxiety levels. And over time, it quietly reshapes the structure of close relationships. You can live with a silent person, eat with them, sleep next to them, share a life with them, but you can never fully reach them. Because real intimacy requires exposure, and their entire survival strategy is built around staying closed. You get their presence, you don't get their truth. There was a senior executive, sharp, well-liked. The kind of person his managers described as calm, under pressure, completely reliable, but every 2 or 3 years he'd suddenly quit. No conflict, no drama, no other job lined up, he'd just leave. His colleagues never understood it. In therapy, he finally realized it. His father had raised him on 2 rules. Men don't show weakness, and having emotions means you're incompetent. So every time he was misunderstood at work, pushed aside, Treated unfairly, he never said a word. He just got quieter, more focused. He thought that was maturity. It was actually self-isolation. Every silence stacked another layer of disappointment. When the stack got high enough, he walked out quietly, cleanly, without explanation. He wasn't fragile. He just spent so long using silence to protect himself that he'd forgotten how to speak up, how to advocate for himself, how to let himself be seen. People like him are everywhere, in workplaces, in families, in relationships. They're the most dependable people you know. They're also the ones most likely to vanish without warning. So, what is actually happening inside a silent person? Let me break it down. In those minutes, hours, or days after they've been hurt and gone silent, their brain is running at full speed. Was that intentional? If I say something, will they even get it? If I say something, will they laugh at me, dismiss me, think I'm being too much? If I let myself be vulnerable, will I just get hurt again? Is this relationship even worth the risk? They're running a quiet, continuous, invisible risk assessment. Their silence isn't passive. It is active. It is holding grief, managing expectations, protecting dignity, and asking over and over, is this person safe? Is this relationship safe? Do I deserve to be treated well? All of that is happening behind a calm face, sometimes behind a smile. What you see is someone who seems totally fine. What they know is that they're holding themselves together by sheer will. Here is the part that breaks my heart the most. Silent people almost never want to leave. They're waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to reach out first, waiting for you to understand without them having to explain. They're running a quiet test. Can you see pain that hasn't been spoken? Can you care about feelings that haven't been performed? Can you love the real me, not just the version of me that is easy, agreeable, and never asks for anything? If you see it, if you reach out, if you're gentle, if you say something as simple as, I can tell something's off with you, that lands deeper than 100 apologies. Because for them, being seen is safety. But if you miss it, if you brush past it, if you assume they're fine because they seem fine, they'll quietly make a note of it. They won't fight you, they won't make a scene. They'll just take back a little bit of the trust they had in you, then a little more. Until one day, when there is nothing left, they'll exit quietly. No confrontation, no explanation, no trace. I know some of you listening to this right now are on the verge of tears because you know this feeling from the inside. You were the easy kid, the one who never caused problems. You processed everything alone and called it being strong. But somewhere along the way you noticed, the more low maintenance you were, the less anyone checked on you. The quieter you got, the fewer people asked if you were okay. You got used to carrying it yourself. But somewhere underneath all that, you've always quietly hoped that someone would see through the act. That someone would pull you close and say, I know it has been hard. So I want to say this directly to every person who goes silent. Your silence was never wrong. It protected you. When you were at your most vulnerable, when you had no other options, silence kept you from getting hurt. It helped you survive. But here is the hard truth. Survival strategies only work in survival mode. They don't belong in the life you want now. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be understood. You deserve to be treated with care, without having to earn it by staying quiet. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to hurt. You're allowed to say this is painful. That is not weakness. That is courage. And if the person you love is someone who goes silent, I have a few things I really need you to hear. First, don't try to fill the silence with noise. Don't push. Don't interrogate. Don't say, just tell me what is wrong. That shuts them down faster. Second, don't mistake silence for indifference. The quieter they get, the more they usually care. Third, be a safe person. Safe means you don't dismiss, don't mock, don't overlook, don't betray. You don't have to do anything grand. You just have to show up steadily, patiently, gently. For someone who goes silent, coming back takes real courage. Your job is to make them feel like coming back is worth it, like speaking up is safe. I know this hits close to home for a lot of people. Maybe you're the one who goes quiet when you're hurting. Maybe you love someone who does. Maybe you recently lost someone important because of a misunderstanding that never got spoken out loud. Wherever you are, I want you to hold on to this. Silence isn't the absence of emotion. It is emotion that got too heavy to carry out loud. It is not that they don't care. It is carrying so much it had nowhere to go. It is not leaving. It is waiting for a reason to stay. The most precious things inside a person are rarely the things they say. They're the things living quietly underneath. If you want to truly know someone, learn to read their silence. That is where their soul actually lives. If you saw yourself in this video today, leave something in the comments, even just one word. Let me know you're here. You're not alone in this. And if there is someone in your life you've been thinking about, while watching this, send it to them. Some things are too hard to say face to face. Let the video say it for you. If you don't want to miss future content on emotions, relationships, self-healing, and the hidden patterns that shape who we are, subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is for everyone who feels deeply, holds it together on the outside, and has spent way too long being quiet about the things that hurt most. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. See you in the next one.